Podcast. It is the 5 Observations with Big Jim. I am your host, Big Jim. It is Sunday, February the 19th, 2023, as I'm recording this. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and checking out the show and the feed. If you are new to Huddle Up Podcast, I want to welcome you in. We just wrapped our live regular season offering for the Huddle Up Podcast that closed last week. So as we put the final bow on the 2022-2023 football season, if you want to go back and check out that episode, myself and Mikey B took care of that in the absence of student of the game Kyle Nash, Matt, and EJ. So check that out. We will have off-season episodes coming up here within probably about the next month or so. We are working on getting the schedule set and locked down, but we'll take a few weeks off after the live season. So I appreciate everyone's support through this year. It was an absolute blast. We had a ton of fun doing it. We hope that you all enjoy listening to the shows this year. You can follow the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as TikTok, all at Huddle Up Podcast. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. So I'm going to continue these 5 observations as I've been doing for this is number 16, so pretty much the last few months here. These will continue. The 5 for Fighting with Mike Bernier, those will continue. Matt the Pitch, which will be covering baseball and soccer. Those are going to be starting up soon, and we should be hopefully getting the NBA offering of and one from EJ back in the next few weeks. So do not think that we are going anywhere just because we have hit the off season. We are going to continue to provide content throughout the feed here with the Huddle Up Incorporated, as Mike Bernier has so aptly named it. You can also get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. You hit the link tree in all of our social medias and on YouTube. That'll get you everything you need Huddle Up related. So I certainly do appreciate that. Here we go. Let's dive right in. My first observation this week: the Washington Capitals playoff hopes are, while not mathematically gone, they're really starting to become realistically gone. And what I mean by this is currently the Capitals are outside the top 8 in the Eastern Conference, so they're outside the playoff spot. Even if they get in, I don't think they're gonna get past probably the first round, because they get in at 8. You're gonna be end up playing Boston. You're gonna be playing one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and I don't think the Capitals right now are prepared to beat anybody. And it's been a frustrating season to be a Capitals fan. More on that later. But this year, just the injuries and now some other personnel issues have really just been too much for this team to overcome. They came into the year, they were missing Tom Wilson and Nick Backstrom, who both returned. Wilson had spent a little bit more time on the IR. TJ Oshie's been hurt. John Carlson has been out. And it's just been a rotation of injuries to the best players on this team, and with that, it's really hard to compete. It's really hard to stay on top of the Eastern Conference, a challenging Eastern Conference in the National Hockey League, and really, and now Alex Ovechkin, the Washington Capitals captain, has been away from the team since early last week. He left the team to deal with what he was calling a family issue. And we have since learned that his father passed away, and we continue to send our well wishes to the Ovechkin family. But there's no timetable for Alex to return. And, he's as crucial and critical of a piece to this Washington Capitals team as anybody. And we don't know if or when he's going to return this year, justifiably so. I have never lost a parent, and I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to do so. So, if he doesn't play again this season, I can't blame him, and I certainly do not hold that against. Do not hold that against Alex, but it's just it's really just been a frustrating season as a Capitals fan. Last night they lost 4-1 in the Stadium Series to the Carolina Hurricanes in a game that wasn't even that close, and it just continues to be a problem with the NHL trade deadline coming up here in a couple of weeks. I think it's March 3rd. I would expect the Capitals to be movers, and I think that's where they should be at. They have aging talent, and I think the team really needs to start looking for a change. I think there's a few pieces: Oshie, Backstrom, Wilson, and I mean, obviously you're not getting rid of Alexander Ovechkin, but Kemper and Lindgren, the goalies are not going to go anywhere, I don't believe. But quite frankly, I feel like anybody else is probably at play for them. Second observation, this week the NHL has announced that they are going to have a televised animated game on March 14th between the Capitals and the New York Rangers. And honestly, I'm kind of all for it. I think this is an exciting new thing for the NHL. We saw the NFL do the Nickelodeon the Nickelodeon broadcast the past couple seasons, and I think it helps introduce the game to a new audience. And honestly, I think it's what the NHL needs. They need to create new fans. They need to do things to attract different viewers. And I'm really curious to see what happens. I hope the Capitals can put a better team on the ice than they have recently for this game. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to see how this works out. It's kind of going to be a live action NHL game, NHL 23, like the EA Sports game. So, really cool that it's going to feature my team. I would have been watching either way, but even more invested for me. And with a bad season, it gives me something a little bit more to be invested in. Third observation this week. This one's probably going to be a bit of a quick one. This is, it's kind of this weird week coming out of Super Bowl, and not really sure what to really observe and think about in the sports world. But my third observation this week, sports media, and it really, I think more, especially football media, I don't think it is fairly hyping the return of the XFL. The reason I'm recording and dropping this episode as late as I am is because I was finishing watching the end of the Seattle Sea Dragons and DC Defenders game. The Defenders pick up the win. St. Louis Battlehawks, DC Defenders get, as well as the Arlington Renegades and Houston Roughnecks all pick up wins this weekend. The San Antonio Brahmas, Orlando Guardians, the Vipers, the Vegas Vipers, and Seattle Sea Dragons are the losers of the weekend. They are now 0-1. But first off, before I even get to my issue with football media and sports media, I enjoyed the weekend's games. I didn't get to pay as much attention to the games on Saturday. The early game, we were kind of running around and doing stuff, and then for the night game, it was also the same as the Stadium Series, the outdoor NHL game, and WWE Elimination Chamber premium live event. So I didn't get to spend a ton of focused time watching the games this weekend, on Saturday. But I pretty much watched both full games today, the San Antonio Brahmas and St. Louis Battlehawks, and then the Sea Dragons and the Defenders. And it was entertaining. I thought the games were paced really well. The football wasn't the cleanest. Look, it's not super refined and super clean. These are the first games, and so everybody's kind of getting a feel for the game. But man, I liked it. I thought it was an enjoyable time. Former Notre Dame quarterback Jack Cohn is the quarterback of my San Antonio Brahmas. So good to see a Domer out there. And, Josh Gordon, Ben DiNucci out there tonight for the Sea Dragons. So a few familiar names as well. And there was pretty big crowds, energetic crowds at the stadium. So, kudos to the ownership group and everyone involved with this version of the XFL. And honestly, something I tweeted it out last night, Saturday night, and I really do believe this 100% that last time in 2020 before the pandemic, I don't know what uniform supplier they used, but the uniforms looked very generic, like they were like old, the old style, like almost like a high school uniform. And I'm not saying that to demean the league and what it was before. But like this time around, everything's outfitted by Under Armour, and I know that's because of their deal with The Rock, who's the partial owner of the XFL. But it just made it, to me, because I'm a uniform nerd, look and feel more legitimate. And I thought that was just a little something extra that maybe a lot of people don't even realize and recognize. But back to my initial observation, my initial point. I didn't really hear a lot, and I get it's coming the week off the Super Bowl, but I didn't hear a lot of media or sports media hyping the return of the XFL. And I think it's a shame, because I do believe that the success or failure of leagues like this could hinge on media coverage and more media coverage and exposure. So it's kind of my hope that tomorrow morning I turn on Dan Patrick, or I turn on The Herd, or I turn on some sort of sports radio, and they're talking about this, and they're talking about the XFL. And I know Tiger Woods played this weekend. More on that in a second. But I do hope that there are people who are going to be talking about this, because it was decent football, and it was fun, and it was entertaining. And everybody talks about that hangover from the Super Bowl, and what are we going to do without football? You don't have to go without football. You have football. And you have hockey, and you have basketball, and you have golf, and you have NASCAR with the Daytona 500 and their season kicking off, and you'll have baseball soon, but you still have football. So give it a try. Give it a try. Because like all week, I just kept seeing, blank number of weeks until there's football again. No. There's that many weeks until there's NFL football, but there's still football. So I hope the media does come around, gives the XFL a little bit more play, and they start to get some promotion there. My fourth observation, Genesis Invitational this weekend. We saw Tiger Woods. He had a bad round on Friday. Thought he was going to miss the cut. I went to dinner. My wife and I went to dinner on Friday, and I'm like, well, Tiger's going to miss the cut. It's a bummer, but, it is what it is. And lo and behold, he made the cut, played the weekend. We saw the Sunday Red. And I'm sitting there, even when I'm just watching him, he had a decent round on Thursday, bad round Friday, great round Saturday. It was an okay round today. Finished under par for the tournament. But I'm sitting there watching him Friday. and the people are cheering and they love to see him, and he's still kind of playing and joking, and he's and I'm just going, man, it is truly every time we get to see Tiger play, it's special. It's special. This is the greatest golfer to ever play the game. You know, you can talk about Jack, and you can talk about Jack's numbers and the number of majors and all of that. I don't care. Tiger Woods is the best golfer to ever to play the game. And seeing him, even as he is now, it's special. And when he makes the cut, it's even more special. Seeing the Sunday Red is special. And what part of what makes it so special to me as a golfer and a golf fan and a Tiger fan is every time you see him play at this point, it could be the last. It could be the last. I know he said in the media availability after the Genesis Invitational today that he said he's going to play the majors and he's going to play a few other events, but that's it. At his age and at the state that his body is in after all of the surgeries and the car accident and everything, that's all his body can do. So again, it literally is special when you see him play. But every time he plays, it could be the last. And I don't take that for granted. I wasn't able to appreciate Tiger at his best and at his finest when it was happening, because I didn't play golf and I was too young, and I wish I could go back and appreciate that now. But honestly, the new Tiger, the Tiger we have now, the Tiger post divorce, post car accident, post arrest, this new human Tiger Woods that's joking and laughing and enjoying his time on the course with his fellow players, some that are half his age that grew up watching him and idolizing him. This is far more fascinating than the Tiger that was just out to kill and out to destroy the PGA and dominate and terrify everybody that was on the course with him. This is far more entertaining than that. This is far more fascinating than that. You know, and I appreciate Tiger apologizing for the little joke he had with Justin Thomas. So there's this old tradition in golf where like if somebody outdrives you on like the 10th hole, you hand them a tampon. And Tiger did that to Justin Thomas on Friday, I believe it was. Or Thursday. I think it was Thursday's round, because he apologized for it on Friday. And a lot of people were like, he shouldn't have had to apologize for it. It was just a joke, and people need to lighten up and blah, blah, blah. You know, the typical reaction to somebody apologizing for something in 2023. Now, here's the deal. It didn't bother me. It didn't offend me. However, there were some that took offense to it. And I can understand the reasoning that some people took offense to it. And the reason some people took offense to it is because there's a message behind it that, you know, that if you know, the handing of the tampon, it signifies that like a female is lesser than, at least as it was, you know, as I saw some people react to it. And look, because I saw people saying that's not offensive to me, you shouldn't have had to apologize. I don't know that he, quote, had to apologize. I think he chose to apologize. Because I think he realized that the joke did not land and was not appropriate for some people. And that's okay. Like somebody apologizing for something that doesn't offend you doesn't mean you have to get offended by the apology, right? So I appreciate Tiger understanding the message that the joke sent, and that it wasn't something that was appropriate. And I think people overreacting to the apology need to take a step back and understand that they are part of a society. But yeah, back to the original point. Like, it just took for Tiger, and to see Tiger and to watch him play, whether he's coming up short, you can see him in pain, whatever it is. I appreciate, and I don't take for granted seeing Tiger Woods play anymore. And whenever he plays next, maybe the Masters, I look forward to seeing him and hopefully seeing him make the cut. My last observation, I tie this back to my first point. I said when I was talking about the struggles of the Washington Capitals that there'd be more on that later. I really, it's really kind of connected me, and it's not a new revelation for me, but sports are harder to love when your favorite teams stink. Okay. And I'm kind of going through that right now. And it's not that I don't love sports. I absolutely love sports, and I have been a sports fan my entire life, as long as I can remember. But it's harder when your teams suck. Okay. I talked about the Washington Capitals and the struggles and the fact that they're probably going to miss the playoffs. They haven't won a playoff series since 2018 when they won the Stanley Cup. So this is going to be 5 years, going into 6 next year, that they have not won a playoff series despite making the playoffs. And now this year it looks like they will most likely miss unless they turn it around. Notre Dame, it really ended the season on a positive note, and I'm excited to see what the future of Marcus Freeman is. But there was disappointment and frustration throughout this season as well. Obviously the Marshall game, the Stanford game, the loss to USC. So it's not that Notre Dame sucks. But I was 3 the last time Notre Dame won a national title. So I'm getting punchy from that aspect, that I would love to see them hopefully at some point take that next step. I'm not sitting here thinking it's going to happen next year or anything like that, but I'm hoping sometime soon that they can progress towards that. If you've listened to my 5 observations and or the Huddle Up podcast this season, you will know my frustrations with my Dallas Cowboys. And you're going to say, but Jim, they had 12 wins this year, whatever it was. Was it 12? I honestly can't even remember. I've blocked it out already. They've had X number of wins. They were in the playoffs. This team, once again, failed miserably when it mattered most. And there's a large degree of frustration with me and the Cowboys. And they haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. Almost 30 years. And really show no signs of being that team anytime soon. I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. Nothing else needs to be said. They have some exciting prospects, but they are very far away from being among the Major League Baseball's elite. So it makes it harder. That's where the love of the favorite team becomes a commitment, and you go through those times to hopefully one day have a year like the 2018 Capitals. Or you go through the tough years so that when your team gets a run like what the Chiefs are on or what the Patriots were on, or what the Steelers were on, a decade or so ago, and I'm just thinking about football because it's on the top of my head, but the St. Louis Blues won their first Stanley Cup in 2019. The LA Kings had won their first one. In baseball, you've seen the Phillies win in 2008. You saw the Tampa Bay Rays, they've won it, and any number of teams where they kind of come out of nowhere. Hell, the Chicago Cubs after 100 years, the Red Sox broke the curse, and all of these stories, like, you go through the hard times to get to those moments where you have the ultimate joy. And that's why I don't, because a lot of people said, well, you can just stop being a fan. Why did I do that? If I just hopped anywhere that, and I'm done with the Cowboys, I'm going to go be, I don't want to pick the Chiefs because, like, I don't want to be that much of a bandwagon guy. So, like, maybe I'll be a Bengals fan. They're pretty good right now. Or maybe I'll go be a Bills fan because, like, Bills Mafia is, like, super fun and it's like a wrestling crowd. And you're going to handpick somebody that you think can get a victory, a championship victory soon, right? Because if you're going to abandon your team, that's what you will do. The times when the Capitals stink and the Cowboys again fail and Notre Dame continues to struggle when it matters most and the Orioles are the Orioles, like, those are that's what tests you, right, as a sports fan. It just makes it harder. It makes it harder to find the commitment. It makes it less fun to be a sports fan. It's the ups and downs, but I wouldn't trade it. I look back because I've been there was two documentaries on Alex Ovechkin that came out recently, one on ESPN, one on NBC Sports Washington, around his chase for Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record. And it was about the breaking of Gordie Howe's 801 and becoming the number 2 on the all-time list. And, of course, on both of these documentaries, they talk about the 2018 season when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup. And watching those moments again, just in those brief clips, like, I got choked up again. Like, anytime, like, there's a moment, it's like, man, I'm done. Like, I'll just be a fan of the sport. Maybe I can just be hockey fan. Maybe I can just be football fan. And then I see this clip of the moment Ovechkin finally got to raise the cup. And it put me right back on my living room floor at my first house that I owned, in shock and in tears and unable to speak. Because the thing that I thought would never happen, the moment that I thought would never happen, my Capitals hoisting this Stanley Cup, was actually happening. And my phone's going off, going crazy. Friends texting me and messaging me that they're happy for me. Being a sports fan sucks when your teams suck. But I wouldn't trade that fandom for a cheap win and then not be able to celebrate my team if and when they eventually win it all. So it sucks when your team sucks, but we got to hang in there, right? That is where I leave. That's where I leave this week. I want to thank everyone for listening. And again, at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, tpublic.com is where you'll find our merchandise. Again, we will have off-season episodes beginning in March. Still continue to look out for the 5 for Fighting with Mike Bernier. The Pitch with Matt is coming soon. My weekly observations from the world of sports. And if you have any topic ideas, anything you want to hear us talk about during these next few months, March, April, May, June, July, August, these next 5 or so months, hit us up on the social media. Let us know. But until next time, I hope you stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.